part of it is just that I'm horny. And then a lot of men don't have my sex drive. You gotta do what you gotta do. This is how I feel. Listen, if I offer you my pussy and you don't take it, that's on you. She's dope. I hang out with her all the time. So if you're not interested, cool. But it's usually I say I got boomerang pussy. They bounce back.
Yeah.
But it's like what do you think you know the bitch I am. What do you think I've been doing for the past 3 months? Waiting for you? No. But I think also part of it is it's like strangely deeply connected to my faith. So I feel like because I have faith is a big part of my, which I know people are like, what? A lot of plot twists.
Define faith.
Well, I pray every day. I have a very, very, very strong relationship with God, and I have a very strong relationship with my spirituality. And I feel like because of that as well, in my faith, I know like, okay, when the right dude comes along, he's gonna come along. And if he doesn't come along, that's just not the dude. Like there will be somebody. I had a reading in Cuba in 2012, and I remember they told me they're like, Christiana, you have to make sure that you're with the right person who loves you and who accepts you for who you are, and that's when you'll have like all of the things that you want in life. That's when you'll have like success in that. Now, I took that at a very basic level. And then the older that I got, I was like, maybe like 5 years later, I was like, oh, part of it is that when you finally have love, you will save so much time in the procurement of dick that you will then have that time to allocate towards more time to your career, to all these other things. But also just understanding that like at the heart of me, I'm a romantic. So like but I also know like most motherfuckers in New York especially don't deserve your heart or you know like sometimes don't even deserve your fucking pussy or a text back, you know what I mean?
True.
But so I think between like my faith, my horniness, and then also probably because I was married before too, that I can just kind of like look at a man and be like, is this man gonna be my partner? Probably not.
And it's an interesting balance because I feel like I've been feeling this lately too. And especially exactly what you said of it's like, it does take so much time. Yeah. Not only like whether you're trying to find dick or you're trying to find love in a real relationship, it does take a lot of time. Yeah. If I'm doing apps, if I'm trying to go to events, if I like there's so many things that I'm like, oh, I feel like this takes up so much of my mental energy and my time that it starts to be like, okay, is this worth even putting time into? And you can't play this debate game of like, okay, years later, am I going to regret doing so much time into this or not enough time into this? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Shooters Gotta Shoot. I am your host, Erica Spera, and I have a great guest for you guys this week. But before I get to her, real quick, if you're watching us on the YouTube, subscribe. You're here. You're enjoying the show. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers. It's free. Easy way to help your girl out. Just hit the button. Hit the little button. There's like a thing right in the corner over here. Just tap it. Subscribe. It's free. Okay? But if you have a little cash and you want to help out your girls, join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. We have a live show coming up, and you get to pick what guests you want to come on. We're just going to do an ask all, tell all. It's going to be a wild time. And that's going to come up in October. So make sure you join by the end of the month to get access to that live show. Patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. All right. And there's a preview at the end of the episode if you want a little taste. Okay. So you can get a little taste. If you're like, what the fuck's going on? Well, you're going to find out. All right. Figure it out. Maybe I cry on there sometimes. What? Do you want to see that? I don't know. Join. Okay. All right. Well, without further ado, I do have to get to my amazing guest this week. Hit it, Fonzie. I am so excited for this guest. You might have seen her at the New York Comedy Festival or on Cash Cab. She is my favorite hoe, Christiana Jackson, everybody. Yay! What up?
This is my Kegel song.
The fact that you have a Kegel song is wonderful.
I have several, but this one is one I'm like, oh yeah, man, you're seeing a small dick tonight. Get ready, bitch. Tighten it up. Tighten it up. Let's go. You can keep to that rhythm. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's not ready. He's got no clue what's gonna happen tonight.
Wait, real quick up top. Do you think Kegels work?
Oh, they definitely work.
They definitely work. And you just do, I don't know, I want to say like bareback Kegels of like no assistance.
Oh, yeah,
it's just
keep
you.
it all natural.
You know what I mean?
This is what happened. As you know, I had a Cuban boyfriend Cuban. Sometimes people think I say human. I had a Cuban boyfriend for years, and Papi, let's just say my pussy molded to his dick.
Really?
And then I was like, I think she's getting a little breezy. That's the thing. People think that your pussy gets stretched out from many dicks. You just need one dick that you're with for a long time. So anyway, I was like, I think she's getting a little breezy. And then we were in the process. We were like about to break. We were like breaking up, kind of. He was also kind of coming to America. A lot of things going on. But I hooked up with an ex. And as soon as he went in, there was a moment where we both were like, oh yeah, no, this shit's spaced out. It's like
he knew.
Yeah, like we could both feel, like we both silently were like, that feels different. And then, I mean, he still came, but then afterwards I was like, hey man, can I ask you something? I'm like, does she feel like a little bigger? And he was like, oh, he busted that shit wide open. So that's when I knew. I'm like, you gotta get her back in shape. It's like I refer to my pussy like Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
Okay, did you see the documentary about Bo Jackson?
No, I didn't.
Okay, cool. It's very good. But he has a moment in it, and he was like, he got injured, right? So he used to play, he used to play football, he used to play baseball. Then he got injured, and he was like, the thing is, I was always in good shape. But then for the first time, I had to train, and that's the strongest I've ever been. And I was like, that is like my pussy after Papi. She was always great, but for the first time, I was like, we need to get her in form, and she's never been better.
Well, it's just, this is something that, like, literally through men cracking jokes of like, oh, she probably has a loose ass pussy, assuming just if someone's promiscuous, right? Or like say has sex with black men or some stereotype like that. It's always this joke, and it causes a fear in a lot of women of like, is that true?
No, I'm a hoe and my pussy is tighter than ever. If anything, you should be concerned if it's a little too tight. You're like, oh, she's keeping her in shape. She's always ready to compete. That's a little bit more of an indication than like, oh, she got a tight pussy. I mean, I do that as a service. Also because, I mean, I fuck with a lot of Latin dudes. I fuck with not just Latin dudes, but primarily Latin dudes. Mm-hmm. And the range of dicks, the range of genetics dick-wise runs the gamut. So I gotta be prepared. I sometimes say I wish my pussy was like an accordion that I could just squeeze in and out, but that's not how they work. But I'm just like, like it just runs the gamut. They could be small, like, I mean, not micro. I won't even waste my time with a micro, but anyway, but like they could be definitely smaller, or they could be like, oh no, today is the day. You're not doing any Kegels today. If anything, you could stretch her out somehow. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I didn't realize she still had that room. I call it the attic, the top of the, like up on the top of the pussy. Do you have any, has anyone been in your attic? Not everyone has an attic.
You know what? In college once, I was hooking up with this guy, and it was one of the first people I had sex with. And he hit something that I
struck gold.
Immediately had like immense pain that I was like, what? And it just was like, hold up. Like I just stopped it. He's like, what? And it felt like very intense, like period cramps.
Ooh.
Like, and at first it was slow. You were like, oh no, this is okay. It's like a period cramp. And then just big pain. And that's something I'm like, I think a cervix was touched. I don't know. I don't know.
Word.
He was bigger than average, but it wasn't like so insanely huge,
Oh, yeah.
But it just was one of those like, it speeds up, and then all of a sudden I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, oh. Yeah, that's the thing that's interesting. Okay, in 2020 when things were, nothing was going on, I was like, oh, I was talking to a friend, and he was saying how he is a larger dick, and he was saying how some women can't accommodate it. So then I was thinking about it. I'm like, I wanted to know if the pussy length varies culturally, which would make sense in terms of human evolution. If you're used to bigger dicks, then the body would adapt and all that stuff. If you're used to smaller dicks, maybe you don't like one of my friends, she's like, oh no, I can only take 4 inches. Now she's Latina, she's from Nicaragua, so she's part European, part indigenous. So I was like, maybe just like some people just have, so maybe some people have like a ranch style home. Some people got 2-story and some people got an attic like me, right? Like maybe it's just cultural. There's been no research done. There's been very little. So they don't even know, which it's like, hello, why are we so focused on like the dick size when some of us just some people don't have an attic.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because have you ever had an IUD?
No.
Okay. But when you get your IUD, they measure your uterus to know how far to put it and insert.
But what about the vagina, though?
But that's what I'm saying. I'm like, so indirectly also that, because they go through that.
Word, they should be
uterus.
measuring.
So I would assume they can.
True. By this time, there should be some type of data about it.
Some study.
Because sometimes it's like, some people will be like, oh, I don't want to date interracially. Sometimes some people ain't built for that shit. It's not necessarily race. It's just literally like, I got no room for you.
Yeah.
Or just like, oh, I can't. Same thing like the other way, where it's just like, oh, like I spent a lot of time in Mexico, of course. And like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know if these guys feel like my pussy is big for them, because if the women are used to smaller dicks, maybe they have smaller pussy. I don't know, because there's no data. Someone get on it in science.
Well, I've dated many races across the board.
Word.
And people often don't like to hear this, specifically men, when you go, there really is a wide range amongst all the races.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it, especially when they're a race that is rumored to be larger.
Depends.
But I'm like, I've seen a good handful either way on a few different races. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen, I'd say, armfuls of dicks. Not a handful, a couple armfuls. I mean, it depends. What I realized when I went to Mexico, I've been many times. When I went as a single woman and started getting dick pics, like I just realized I was like, oh, I'm living in a dick bubble in Harlem. Like what I consider an average sized dick is actually big. And then when I went to Mexico and these guys were like sending me their dick pics, first guy sent me a dick pic, I couldn't see the beginning of it. I couldn't see like any pubes. And I said, no, papi, send me the whole thing. And he was like, that's the whole thing. And I was like, oh shit, I just didn't know dicks. I was like, I'm in a dick bubble. I didn't know dicks were that small. Mexican men are very good lovers, which we'll talk about later. But I just didn't, I was like, oh, I didn't know. But then I was like, oh, my perspective of dicks in New York is based on uptown dicks, mainly.
I guess.
Yeah.
Do you not really go outside the neighborhood?
I mean, everyone comes to me, so
right.
But
if everyone comes to you, then you're like, wow, I'll up the radius.
I would just say I just mean cult. When I say uptown, I just mean Black and Latin dudes mainly.
Yeah.
Very few white guys in the mix.
When's the last time you went with a white dude?
July 4th weekend.
Okay, it's not crazy long ago. But it's just rare.
Then before that was, I mean, white, just white, not Latino. Yeah. He actually had a big dick. He was Russian Jewish. He had a bigger dick. Laziest lover and no rhythm. I was very disappointed. I was like, because this is the thing. If I'm reaching across the aisle, if I know I'm some dude's first time, which I'm a lot of Latin dudes' first black chick, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always I guess it's just being black in general. You always know you're representing the race. Mm-hmm. So I always just I'm always like, all right, this is their first time. Whatever. I was my best foot forward. I want to be like, don't you realize you're representing all of your chosen people? Come on, motherfucker. Why aren't you going to try to, don't you feel an obligation to be like, yo, Jewish dudes, we can keep up with y'all. He was the worst. I was very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. We only hung out
not
twice.
Even for trying. See, that's the difference between just saying someone not great, you didn't vibe versus lazy.
Yes,
lazy is the real
lazy.
insult to men in bed.
It was, felt very disrespected because we only hung out twice. Second time he came over, he was totally wasted. That's how I remember it was July 4th weekend. He partied, drank 12 high noons the day before. Black folks, we don't get wasted like that. If you get fucked up like that, it's you're a hood dude. It's you're a professional man. Stop it. I'm a grown woman. Mm-hmm. Came over. He was so drunk, he had to throw up multiple times.
Oh my God.
And then when I asked him, I said, why did you come over if you were this hungover? He said, oh, I thought that I could just lay here. Excuse me, sir? Excuse me? So that's why I'm not just lazy and what do you consider? Yeah. He literally knew, and he knew that he had to bring it because I told him about the first time. I was like, first time he came over, and then we didn't talk for a little while, and then he called me, and he kept calling me. I'm like, I don't talk on the phone that much. Send me a voice note, but whatever. And then he was like, oh, sorry, we haven't had time to see you because he's busy with work. And I said, you know why I'm okay with the fact that we haven't hung out? Because you didn't eat my pussy the first time we hung out.
Facts.
I said, so I've been fine. And he was like, oh, I eat the box, which times like that. That's why I'm like, this is why I feel like Latin dudes, we just speak Spanish and everything sounds a lot hotter. I was like, fucking white. I eat the box. I was like, okay. I said, well, you didn't even touch my pussy, man. Like that in itself is like, do you understand you're competing against an elite squad of Latin men who are gross and will do whatever you want. Like they're very open. They want to please you. And you're going to be like, oh, you didn't even touch my pussy? Who the fuck do you think you are?
Yeah.
So he already knew you better come over and correct your errors. And then he literally, I was on top. He was literally so nauseous from drinking so much. He had to stop. He couldn't handle the motion. Sir.
Oh my God.
Sir.
So bad.
It was so bad. I was very disappointed because I like personality wise, I vibe well with you. I always thought like, oh, I could see myself dating a Jewish dude or like at least hooking up with one, chilling with one. And then I was like, oh, come on, man. The fuck is this shit?
Yeah. Well, usually they have anxiety and they're actually worried about not pleasing you.
Well, he did not give a fuck.
So I don't know where this guy came from.
Word. He did have a very big dick though, but that's like you gotta know how to use it.
Now, see, this is often a lot of times the lazy dudes. Because, especially...
Well, no, I know big dick dudes who put in work.
Well, put it this way. I've experienced with some big dick guys, right? They will think they're getting women off because there will be some noises. However, the noises are like slight pain.
Word.
Right?
Yeah.
Like where they're like, no, this is... And it's like, no.
You're hurting me.
Yeah, you're not understanding the difference.
Word. This is why, once again, we need to understand how are you built? Women, we need to know how we're built.
Yeah.
Because sometimes even for me, like I've had issues with fibroids. Sometimes I'll be like, ooh, like who was the guy that this Puerto Rico? Oof. Actually, we were supposed to hang out earlier today, but I was like, I have to do some stuff. But anyway, I was like, I don't know if I got space for this motherfucker. And I was like, bitch, you know you got an attic, and it was fine. But I was like, ooh, we'll see. But it was actually pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a mixed review of like. But let me ask you this: do you feel like you are a size queen? It sounds like no.
No.
You're like, I'll have a good time
I'm a old bitch.
with any
I'm
size.
41. So like I just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm very much pleasure focused.
Same. I feel like most people get like that as they get older. It's like, I just want to be having a good time and getting off.
Sex changes a lot. It's really interesting how it happens. You're like, oh yeah. Because even like for me, if I'm with someone who's like, I'd say 35 and younger, I feel their youth. And then there's a maturity with a man that's like 39, you're like, oh, it's just a different vibe in terms of the sex. But I will say this though, sometimes when someone gets in the attic, I'm like, oh yeah, clean those cobwebs out. No one's been in the attic in like a year. It's like, oh, I forgot. There's furniture up there. There's like old holiday decorations.
Brings back old memories,
you're
baby.
Like, oh shit, man, get up in that attic. So it depends, but yeah, no, I'm definitely not a size queen.
Yeah, it's interesting if I think a lot of women aren't. And then the ones I know that are, their story is typically, I was with someone who was bigger and I got off in a different way. That I then later learned after them, like, oh, I need a dick that size to get off in that way. And so it indirectly makes them a size queen.
Yes.
So I'm like, but that I respect. That feels like a fair size queen to be.
Word. I will say this, though. Sometimes also big dicks, I would liken it to... an express strain. Like Poppy, my Cuban ex, had obviously a big enough dick that he changed her. That was Poppy's pussy once we broke up. Like it was molded to his dick. But he never made me come.
What?
Because my
From
pussy,
the dick, you mean?
Yeah, because my pussy
I thought you meant
was
at all. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. My pussy was a local stop, but his dick was an express train.
Okay.
So he never even, he just passed the spot. And then that's when I realized, like, that's why sometimes it's good you break up with someone and then you fuck other people. And then you're like, oh, this is the kind of dick I need. So then, like, when I started fucking, who was Brazilian? Brazilian Poppy was probably like 6 to 8 months after my Cuban Poppy, and he had still like a longer dick, but it was, I would say, compared to like Cuban Poppy, it was like short and stout. And I was like, oh, I need a dick that's actually thick but not as long, and then it would hit the spot perfectly.
Yeah.
And I was like, Brazilian Poppy always made me come.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. We had great sex, but he's a Leo, so it just never worked out. Never worked out.
That's 100% the reason. I did want to ask you. Well, part of me wanted to have you on because I know you have plenty of experience and plenty of stories. I've heard them all the time. They're truly entertaining. Like it's like if anything,
living life.
Part of me sits here and I'm always like, damn, how does she just like keep kind of moving on to the next one. Like I feel like nothing ever gets you down. You just keep rolling through.
I mean, listen, I am 41 doing all my chores alone. That sometimes I'll be like, damn, are we going to be doing the dishes for the next 41 years by myself? Like stuff like that. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, like, or just like, you know, men are annoying and we're around men all the time doing comedy.
Yeah. The worst ones.
Yeah. But at least they're entertaining. Like,
true. They're fun to talk to.
Sometimes. Yeah. But it's just like, but you know what it is? Okay, this is what I would say. I know that I'm just built differently than most, not just women, people. Like I have a very, very high sex drive. The only person that was on the same sex drive as me was my Cuban ex. I mean, we used to fuck 2 to 4 times a day, 6, 7 days a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
that is the highest we've heard on the pod. Truly. Truly. Like people like would hire and they're in long-term relationships, they'll be like, 3 times a week.
Oh,
is the high for a lot of people.
Even when we hated each other, I remember one time it was like the day before my period and we fucked 4 times that day. We were like snowed in together. We weren't even getting along, but we just both had a very high sex drive, but most people aren't built that way.
Right.
So I feel like part of it is, it's a few things. Part of it is just that I'm horny. And then a lot of men don't have my sex drive. You gotta do what you gotta do. This is how I feel. Listen, if I offer you my pussy and you don't take it, that's on you. She's dope. I hang out with her all the time. So if you're not interested, cool. But it's usually I say I got boomerang pussy. They bounce back.
Yeah.
But it's like what do you think you know the bitch I am. What do you think I've been doing for the past 3 months? Waiting for you? No. But I think also part of it is like strangely deeply connected to my faith. So I feel like because I have faith is a big part of my, which I know people are like, what? A lot of plot twists.
Define faith.
Well, I pray every day. I have a very, very, very strong relationship with God, and I have a very strong relationship with my spirituality. And I feel like because of that as well, in my faith, I know like, okay, when the right dude comes along, he's gonna come along. And if he doesn't come along, that's just not the dude. Like there will be somebody. I had a reading in Cuba in 2012, and I remember they told me they were like, Christiana, you have to make sure that you are with the right person who loves you and who accepts you for who you are, and that's when you'll have like all of the things that you want in life. That's when you'll have like success in that. Now, I took that at a very basic level. And then the older that I got, I was like, maybe like 5 years later, I was like, oh, part of it is that when you finally have love, you will save so much time in the procurement of dick that you will then have that time to allocate towards more time to your career, to all these other things. But also just understanding that like at the heart of me, I'm a romantic. So like but I also know like, you know, most motherfuckers in New York especially don't deserve your heart or, you know, like sometimes don't even deserve your fucking pussy or a text back. You know what I mean?
True.
But so I think between like my faith, my horniness, and then also probably because I was married before too, that I can just kind of like look at a man and be like, is this man gonna be my partner? Probably not.
And it's an interesting balance because I feel like I've been feeling this lately too. And especially exactly what you said of it's like, it does take so much time. Yeah. Not only like whether you're trying to find dick or you're trying to find love in a real relationship, it does take a lot of time. Yeah. If I'm doing apps, if I'm trying to go to events, if I like there's so many things that I'm like, I feel like this takes up so much of my mental energy and my time that it starts to be like, okay, is this worth even putting time into? And you can play this debate game of like, okay, years later, am I going to regret doing so much time into this or not enough time into this? Especially when you have 8 other balls in the air, especially with comedy. It's like that's, you have to be married to comedy, you have to be married to your career, especially when you're fucking alone. Yeah. Because you're like, there's no dual income here. Yeah, so everything's on me. I got to back me. There's no one else backing me. Exactly. And it's, oh God, I keep having that thing too of just like, how much do you just put your faith and trust into God, the universe, to be like, oh, the right person's just going to come when they come and it's going to happen. Yeah, it's like a balance. In the meantime, though, my whole thing is like, I'm just trying to have fun in the meantime. Right. You know, so it's just like, I'm not going to, but everyone's different. I mean, this is one thing I think also I reflected a lot upon in 2020 and then just, you know, just all the time.
Because people will say to me a lot like, oh, well, you don't want a relationship. And I'm like, no, I want a partner. I do want love. Mm-hmm. I want to love someone. I'm a romantic. I know what I'm worthy of, and I know what I deserve. Mm-hmm. That is just because I like to have a good time doesn't mean that I don't deserve to be loved. Doesn't mean I don't deserve to be nurtured. Doesn't mean deserve a partnership, help, emotional support, all of those things, But I think what happens is what I've started to realize is also it just takes. You have to be a very strong person mentally and emotionally to actually be a hoe. I think people
it's very true.
Just think that like you're just doing whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that's also why sometimes men are also threatened by a woman who has the ability to be like, all right, dope. We're either going to fuck again or we're not. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. I'm going to keep it moving because they don't have any power over you. Yeah. But then also sometimes if your pussy is too good, also you have power over them and they're scared of that. Especially, I think if I were a white woman, I would have been married by now. But as a black woman, they're like, then they have to start to confront within themselves. Like, on paper, I thought that, okay, she's just, going to be a good time. Then they come over to my house like, oh, she's a whole ass bitch. Like, she got a great apartment.
Yeah, and you could cook. I mean, that's
I don't let them do that.
Yeah, no, but I'm like, if they do.
No,
that's
they don't
what every dude's
like,
kind of moving.
Goddamn fucking food. That's for damn sure. But anyway, but they'll be like, oh shit, she's like she's like more than her nudes. She's like the kind of woman that really I would, be in a relationship with. But then they have to say to themselves, like, am I going to publicly date a black woman? And it's like, probably not.
For some people, yeah.
For hundreds. For hundreds of people. For hundreds upon I don't know how I've lost count. Well, I don't even know how many dudes I fucked in Mexico alone. But like,
Well, listen, I would say a lot of people I know have felt this feeling of we've all been like hidden.
Yeah.
To the world. Where like, you're coming over, you are having a relationship with me. You're having a relationship with me.
Yeah.
But I'm just not publicly in your life. I haven't been brought to meet the friends. You haven't, posted me on Instagram, whatever. And It's like, but we, especially women, have all been where you're like, this is a relationship. This is my guy. Yeah. He's telling me all these things, doing all these things, treating me as such, but you just know you're in the dark.
Yeah, no, you gotta trim down those motherfuckers.
Yeah, no.
Because the way that I am now is like, I have a dick alarm. So if someone is coming over, like if we're not gonna be in a relationship, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But you're going to get, because I am so busy, like you said, there's so many things going on, you are going to get only a bit of my time. Mm-hmm. So I'll be like, okay, cool. I have a show at 8. I have to leave there by 7. I can see you between 6 and 6:45. If we're not in a relationship, and then we're just fucking, that's what it's going to be. Like, I'm not going to give you more of my fucking time.
Yeah.
Because why? Like,
yeah.
We're just trying to have a good time. And that's the thing. Sometimes men don't, they're used to women being more like blurring those lines. And I'm like, nah, I'm busy. Mm-hmm. We can fuck before or after my show. That's it. Because if we're not going to do this whole thing, and then also some men, once again, just like analyzing a man, will be like, oh, I attract a lot of dumb men. And I'm like, oh, I could never have you around my friends.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing where I'm like, you can hide me, but I'm not. This relationship exists only in our apartment for an hour a week. That's what it is. Like, don't give somebody, especially these days, men are so lonely.
There was that article, The Rise of Lonely Single Men or whatever.
Oh, that article's 2 years late. But that article
was like bullshit.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of men who are very, very lonely and just want someone to talk to. And they don't even want to fuck. So that's why I keep it. I'll be like, yo, what are we doing? What do you want? Oh, you just want fun? Are you fun, first of all? Mm-hmm. Really? What's fun about you? Oh, this guy the other day, he said he was fun. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to make you come. As soon as I said how, he fucking backtracks. He he goes, well, you know your body better than I do, so I'll just take your lead. Motherfucker, no. That's why I'm like, bro.
She caught me.
Yeah. She caught me. Yeah, no, dude. Got nothing. Okay, well, I didn't expect you to ask me how.
So funny.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a hot mess. I screenshotted all of those. I was like, oh, this conversation is purely for my entertainment. You fucking idiot. But
How? Oh, I didn't think there'd be a follow-up.
Exactly. What exactly do you have in mind to do to me? I'm not sure. Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm gonna, you have a vagina, right? I'm gonna put my dick inside. Yeah. And then I was just like, this is a mess. But you gotta ask questions. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, like if someone's just like leeching all that off of you, no, man, fuck that shit. Because then you're gonna get emotionally attached, and at no point are you actually going to get what you want from that person.
Well, I was going to say, would you say like the proper way to hoe is basically like, it's just sex. You don't do there's no cuddling after hanging out, sharing food.
Life
you know
is
what I mean?
Hard.
Where's the line on that? Because for me, I think a lot of women, that's where it gets blurred. Or that's the thing that you said, a lot of men, it's like they also want that. Because I've had situations with guys where you're like, all right, you kind of almost like, oh, this is just a hookup. I'm going to treat it as such. And then they're super like clutch their pearls like, I am not a piece of meat. And it's like, you indirectly are telling me that's what I am. We can be nice about it. But it's amazing how like one little move, they're suddenly like, oh, am I just being used? It's like, bro, you just came over here to use me.
Exactly.
But like the fact that it suddenly gets known, it's all of a sudden like, oh, this isn't fun. Like their egos get crushed, especially if you have sex with them. Most men, if they have sex with you, they're like, oh, she will want to date me now.
Oh, yeah. A lot of men think that. And I'm like, motherfuckers, you listen. When I say I took this nude for you is plural, okay? This is not, you insane? Like, what do you think I actually just took a photo? I mean, no, there is one guy that I do take nudes just for him, but then I share them with other people. Right. But he's also, his nudes are, they're
It's a lot of people's nudes. If you have a real good one, you say that.
Oh, no, he's an artist, so his nudes are transformative. They helped me. If you look at our WhatsApp nude exchange, look like we're having a conversation. It's beautiful. It's art all around. But anyway, it's hard to, I think it depends on how, it depends on how strong of a person you are. Mm-hmm. Like I can cuddle a motherfucker and still not necessarily get emotionally attached. But most people, I feel like if you're a person that gets emotionally attached easily, then I would say keep that just fucking. Yeah. Because otherwise you're just gonna get, wrapped up, understandably.
Or unfortunately you can't do the just for fucking. But for me, it's always just, it's literally, am I into them or am I not into them? And a lot of times there's that line where you're lying to yourself and you are a little into them and you're like, no, but I'm not. And you'll have whatever facts in your head, like whether it be like, oh, they, don't have their life together. They don't make money. They don't like all those things you go, well, I know long term, like you keep trying to remind yourself, but at the core, you're like, nah, I like them. Like
where, I can like and love a motherfucker, but once again, I think because I was married, I'll say to myself, could this person be my partner? No. So even if, I have loved some losers. I've deeply loved men that are a mess. Yeah. But then, once again, I have a frame of reference for like, this motherfucker is not, first of all, I think it's also with just age where you just realize people do not change. No. So you're just like, especially at this age, 41, I'm like, motherfuckers don't change. I ain't got time for that shit, Like, I could love you deeply, but still be like, you are an alcoholic waiter. Like this, like I just want to connect and appreciate the fact that like I have someone in my life that I can love, but I can't be with you. Come on.
Yeah, no, very true.
But that's very hard to do.
I have had two guys that, like, afterwards, I really, like, that, like, it hit me hard. And I missed that. I really felt that breakup pain, whatever. But, like, both of them, while I was seeing them, I was like, I'm not marrying this guy. Yeah. And you could still go through the relationship.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, too, to just be able to be like, oh, you know what? Love and connection, it's so rare. Right. So, like, when you have it, it's a beautiful thing to have in your life. But just because you love someone or like someone doesn't mean that you should be with them.
Very true.
I mean, that was, like, I think the biggest lesson coming out of my marriage, where I was like, love is not enough. It's a component. It's not enough. Yeah. And...
Or like, that's an official lesson to learn where you're like, I got married and that didn't work out.
Word. I did know it might not work. That's when I got married, I was like, this might not work. Cause I was in, New York. He lived in Dublin. He wasn't Irish. He was from Ghana. And like, I had to bring him here. So I kind of knew like, this might not work. We didn't know we only knew it for 6 months. But it was a great adventure. And and you know, my ex-husband, Charles, he's still in my life. We're still cool. He's family. Like I have to check. We usually check in about once a month with each other because he is married now. He's cheating on his new wife, which is great. I get to hear all about it. She is a dumbass. I'm like, how do you let this man go home to Ghana and get some motherland pussy for 2 weeks, you dumb bitch. Like you can't let him just go. Like, hello. But anyway, they've been together for, like 11, 12 years.
Yeah, it's like, I would assume she does know. And just
I don't know what she knows and what she doesn't know about getting her pussy eaten. I know that much because she married him and he did not eat pussy. That's why it was very easy to divorce him as well.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say what you're talking about right now kind of is the philosophy of people that are in open or polyamorous relationships is I have a lot of opinions. They're very, the theme essentially a lot of them say is a lot of relationships aren't meant to be forever. And some people come in your life and out of your life. Mm. And it's kind of that they have kind of this perspective that is this more open flowing things come and go. Like they come and go and you can be in love. And
you know what? Divorces are not cheap. So I have a lot of opinions. I don't know if I have a lot of opinions on open relationships.
I like to hear it. Well, have you ever tried an open situation?
I'm already a hoe. So like, why would I commit to someone and then still hoe? Like,
well, that's the thing. You could be a hoe and be monogamous.
That's how I am a hoe or a housewife. That's it. Mm-hmm. So you either get me doing what, like, I'm either myself and I'm free, or I love you and you get all of me and nobody else does. Mm. I don't, but everyone's different. But also most people, if you are not that way when you're single, why would you then start to try to be that way in a relationship? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Because then what's going to happen? Shit's going to be complicated. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't work. And my whole thing is also like, I've had a lot of different relationships with married men. I've loved a married man. One of the loves of my life was married. I did not know. He lied to me about it. Mm-hmm. And it was very complicated. He was the one that told me like, yeah, he busted your pussy open. I'm like, you know my pussy very well because you've been in it many times. But anyway, I've had men who were like, supposedly in open relationships. Are they lying? Are they not? I don't know. But then also recently there's been men on Tinder who'll be like, I'm open. But the way that they speak to you as a single person it's like they want to use you as like a patch for their fucking relationship. And I don't think they respect single people that much. Mm. It's like you forget what it's like to not have a partner. You forget what it's like to not have any help. Like this one guy was like, oh, me and my wife are open. And I said, so I got to work around you. I said, both you and your girl work full time? He's like, yeah. I said, so I got to work around you and your girl's schedule? Yeah, basically. I'm a single person. I don't have time for that shit. Mm-hmm. What is my incentive to have sex with you? Mm-hmm. I'll just be with another person who's single, or I prefer someone who just cheats and makes time.
Well, it's like open is also very different than poly.
You
know what I mean? Like poly people often say there have been several times in their life that they were like in love with several people.
Of course,
but I'm on your side.
Are you making all those people come? Mm-hmm. Are all those people really getting like? There is a limit. Come on. You're not a god. Like there is a limit. Is everyone truly being treated the same way? Mm-hmm. Do you not have favorites? Are there not feelings and jealousy? It's all bullshit. Like let's just be real about it. I don't like how the thing is like if people talk about poly like it's crypto, like they found some kind of goddamn secret. Like, you're just using money? Well, guess what? I found online money. Like, you're in a monogamous relationship? I'm poly. Oh, word? How long is that shit gonna last? Mm. There are not that many most people aren't capable. Most people aren't even capable of just being a hoe, let alone having relationships with multiple people. Also, who has the time? I watch it's for real though.
That's how I feel. That's truly how I feel. I don't have that much time for a relationship as it is.
Get the fuck out of here.
I still want a relationship and I will make time for that relationship and for that one person.
Yes, exactly.
I find it very hard to think how can I be making time for two people on a true commitment level.
And then their people, and whatever. Facebook shows me, I still go on Facebook, and they show me clips of Seeking Sister Wives, and I'm like, this is just cheating with meetings. I swear to God.
Literally.
They gotta talk through everything. Everything has to be discussed, and how do you feel about this? And blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I got time for that shit. I'd be like, yo, we're together or we're not. That's it. Like,
well, I'm curious too. when you are in committed relationships, do you have any urge to just physically be with another person?
No,
cheat, anything like that?
When I love someone, I love them.
Yeah. No, it's just,
unless I get disrespected. If they fuck up, then you've asked for it.
Right.
But like if that's the thing. Like I very much, and not everyone can commit. That's fine. But
yeah.
when I'm like love someone, I'm very loyal to them. And that's something that I've actually had to unlearn. I've had to learn how to like really like, be able to be like, oh, okay, this person, I love them, but I'm not getting what I want from them. They're not doing what I want, like whatever the problem is.
Yeah.
Even with like the guy that I loved very deeply that was married and he hid it from me, like I would just say to him, like, I'm not getting what I want. This was before he was married. I was like, I'm not getting what I want from you. I'm not getting the full commitment from you, but I loved him very, very deeply. I would have been with him. Oh my God. He was also so hot. Jesus Christ. Let me tell you something. This fupa can pull a dude. I don't give a fuck what I look like. I know people are like, this fucking second titty bitch in sweats. I pull some men, all right? I pull some dick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're thinner than I am. Bitch, I'm like a tall man's weight, and I pull some fucking dudes. I swear to God, people be like, I didn't think you could pull a guy this hot. But like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm my biggest right now, and I've been self-conscious about it, but it is that thing that's like, I can still pull. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you start to think that, and then you just get a little attention, and you're like, oh, yeah. I'm okay. I'm all right. Situation.
I'm still a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's very interesting because I've heard many people in general, specifically usually men, that when they're in a committed relationship, they're like, oh, that feeling of wanting to like fuck other people never really goes away. They're like, but I choose to be with this person and be in this relationship.
This is the problem though. Men want to marry women that aren't like me.
Right.
They want to marry women who aren't very sexual. Well, of course you're going to cheat then. So that's your fucking fault. Why are you marrying like Sally Miss Tight Pussy who doesn't want to suck your dick? That's dumb. That's dumb on your side. But that's also has a lot to do with men's insecurities. So, once again, for a man to actually be like, yo, Christiana's my chick, obviously people are gonna be like, yo, your girl's a hoe. And he'll be like, yeah. You know what? And she sucks my dick every night. You know what I mean? But most men aren't that secure in themselves, and they have this. And society gives them an idea of like the type of woman you should marry. That's the marrying type, and it's a woman who's not that experienced, and and
same
blah
type
blah
of man
blah
you should
blah.
be with too.
Yeah.
There's some saying someone said on here. It was like, marry the boring engineer.
No.
And
I refuse.
But it's like, and I get it if it comes from like, oh, that's the person that's more likely to be stable and essentially not run off and want crazy excitement.
That's not true.
But it's like, it's not necessarily
true. That's not true.
I mean,
that's a motherfucker that probably goes to a brothel. He might not, like, he might not fuck your friends, but listen, I used to work in a luxury building, and those dudes were cheating.
For sure.
That was the one thing that was very eye-opening for me, because it was the first time I got to witness cheating outside of either my own relationships, friends' relationships, or not in like a reality show.
And you're saying no correlation between the type of man and cheating? You were just like, a lot of them are doing it.
Oh, I mean, as soon as his wife, they would like, let's say the wife had like, or the girlfriend had a business meeting, she's going out of town. Sometimes there was a woman in that apartment 20 minutes later.
Jesus.
That's why I'm like, oh, y'all think because you're marrying some boring dude that he doesn't like to get his dick sucked, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
No, he'll do it in the same apartment. Right. That's not even smart time-wise.
Yeah.
She could forget something and come back and then be like, oh, shit, this man. And these men had money, and they were fucking hotels literally a block over. That's how dumb and lazy they were. So that's when I started to really be like, oh, it's not me. Because, as women, we're always told, like, as somebody who attracts a lot of men who are cheating, or I thought that way, and I would be like, what is it about me? What is it about my energy? Is it because I'm a very sexual person? Is it because I'm chill and don't push for relationships? Is it because I don't want any drama? Because I want to be famous one day? So I'm always be like, yo, if you're in some shit, tell me, because I don't want any fucking drama. I don't want someone on my rah-rahing on my Instagram page.
No.
I don't want my shit like. So I'm like, is it because I'm so chill and laid back and not pushing for it? And then I would just watch all of these men cheat on women that were nothing like me, and watch these men who are nothing like the types of men that I date cheat on their wives. One guy fucked a woman in the amenities bathroom while his wife and child were upstairs.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they ended up moving somewhere else. It's like, bitch,
yeah,
he's still gonna cheat on you.
Yeah.
he's still going to cheat on. They were both very tall too, and they got into a fight. And I was imagine those two giants fighting. My God, she found out somewhere through his like Uber receipts or something in London that he had cheated on her. And then when he came home, she wouldn't let him in the apartment. And then the doorman told me, he's like, "Oh, I thought she found out that he fucked a chick in the amenities bathroom last week. This was in London." I was like,
holy shit.
So yeah, it's not. I mean, yeah. There's no rhyme or reason to be able to predict if someone's going to be loyal to you, but also marry somebody who has the same sex drive that you do.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Like, I can't be with a guy. I remember there was a guy. He had a high. Then he got lazy. We used to have very good sex, and then he got lazy. He was just whatever. But what he said, whatever. But I remember he never liked his balls to be played with. And it got to the point, like, I remember I had a dream and I was just, there was so many balls everywhere. And I was just like sucking all of these balls. I was like, you need balls, dude. Like, you need to be with someone who's like fully open. And it wasn't his fault. It just, was ticklish or whatever. But I was like, oh, I need some fucking balls. And then he was a loser anyway. So, and I knew that he was like, dealing with other people. So then, then I like broke up with him because I kept catching shit on his phone. And then I got my balls, man. Brazilian Poppy came through and I sucked the shit out of his balls. I was like, yeah, now we're back.
Yeah, there you go.
But I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna need somebody who's like into the stuff that I'm into. Well, I'm not really into stuff.
Yeah, but it's just your point too of like being married before, or even I don't know if people that have been in like several long-term relationships kind of also have this security in themselves of like, yeah, I could get someone to be with me. Like, there's plenty of people that want to be with you, but it's the question of, do I really want to be with them?
Oh,
and
God.
Like you said, also partner, long-term.
Yeah.
Real ride or die shit.
Yeah. And then also, like, it's someone I have to be able to be like, to my ex-husband, be like, this is the new one. He has to be like, Chris. I remember that when I was dating the guy who didn't like his balls sucked. And he was like, oh, Christiana, this guy, no. Like, he was like,
really?
He's a loser. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Charles. I can't even date this dude. We weren't really dating. He just fit into my schedule.
Yeah.
I used to say, like, that's not my boyfriend. That's the man who lets himself in to fuck me. That's what he was in my life.
Okay.
But I knew it was like, all right, this works for now. But then he stopped fucking that good. I was like, come on, bro. That's all you can do.
But can I ask you, do you ever have this thought or feeling of like, oh, if I'm busy kind of dicking around, hoeing around, like having fun, that might be partly the reason I haven't found someone that I really want to be with? And stay with, because I think most women have that fear of, it's like, okay, I need to stop dicking around, I need to actually focus, I need to only sleep with people that I really am into or are pursuing me and fitting XYZ standards and lines, and I'm not saying that's wrong, especially if you're someone that gets attached. That's a different situation. But I've kind of felt that of like just kind of being over the hooking up a little bit, but then you still have obviously times that you're horny and you're like, okay, well, I kind of want to.
I have to. I get very tense. I'll hear it on stage sometimes. I'll be like, oh, you need some dick, dude. You're on edge. You need, like, I need it. I remember I left a voice note for a friend the day before and the day after I got fucking banged out, and he was like, you sound like a totally different person. I was like, hey, what's up? How's it going? Then I was like, I was like fucking gritting my teeth, and I was like, oh yeah, man, I need to have sex. That's my stress relief. But
it's an interesting battle because currently I'm dealing with, there's a high probability when my lease is up, I will be making a jump to LA.
Yeah, I think you should.
But here's the other thing. My mindset and energy, I feel like, has already just shifted in New York of kind of like, I'm going to burn the city to the ground. I'm going to do what I want. Like, I'm back to just like, I'm going to do what I want. If I want to fuck that dude, I'll fuck that dude. Like, I'm suddenly being way more like, less focused on like, oh, I really want to find someone. And I almost indirectly, I'm like, this is going to be when I fucking find someone. Well, this is when it's going to be when it happens. When I'm just being this
can follow you to
free
to
fucking
wherever.
Spirit. You know what I mean?
Well, this is how I feel about it, though. I think that a lot of times, like, yeah, we feel that way. Like, oh, maybe if I'm not putting the right energy out, or maybe if I'm just having a good time, whatever. But I think what really happens is a lot of people just get into relationships because they don't know how to be alone, because they want to be single and whatever. Like, this, at the end of the day, a man's going to tell you whatever the fuck he wants if he thinks that you want a relationship, but he just wants to fuck, he's going to tell you that. That's why I ask men when I match with them, I'll be like, if they go, what are you looking for? I say, what are you looking for? And I'll say to them like, all right, listen, there are different kinds of men. There's usually two kinds of men. I'll just make it simple because men are idiots, right?
Yeah.
So there are two kinds of men. They're men for fun and they're men for relationships. Which one are you? And they'll go, I'm for fun. And then I'll be like, but are you fun?
No, but that's a good way to put it, because if you make it, there's guys you fuck, they take that offensively. So saying fun is a much more lighthearted way to put it.
Oh, I don't do it because of that. I just do it because I want the sex to be fun.
Right.
But like, that is true. I don't know. I mean,
you know what I mean? Like if a guy said to me like, are you a girl I'm just going to hook up with or date? It's a little like, well, I'm dating material. You know what I mean? Like, but if it was like, you trying to have fun or you trying to date? It's like, well, both ways I want to have fun, but you lean more towards fun. You're like, yeah, it sounds more fun.
But also most men, I think that men are not, I think a lot of men do not want to be in relationships.
Yeah.
And then they're given ultimatums and shit. Mm-hmm. And then, that's like how they end up in a relationship.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. It's like the city is filled with fuckboys. So that's why it's not really about you.
Yeah, and I felt the exact same thing you felt of the energy thing. Of feeling like, because I'm very like, I don't push.
But what have you done? It's like, I've just been a woman. How about that? Just been a great, dope fucking person.
I know. And that shit, like, it does stay in your head. And you're like, get the fuck out of my head. Like, especially the energy. I can't. Actually, it's hilarious to me of anytime I have someone say something like, your energy is not very approachable. It has never been a man I wanted to approach me or I wanted to fuck.
Well, exactly.
So I'm like, actually, my energy is correct. You're getting the right read on me right now, which is I do not want to sleep with you, and I'm not flirting with you, and I don't have to.
Well, that's the thing. If you're a woman with a strong personality, then men do. Like for me, I'm not gonna pretend I'm not who the fuck I am.
Yeah.
So you're either, because also if you're a timid dude or whatever, you're not very sexual. First of all, that's just a dude that's gonna add to my body count for no reason. And then also that's just a dude who's gonna be overwhelmed by me. I've had a lot of men fucking die on my couch, like literally. Like they come in and then they've told me like, oh, I find you very intimidating. I'm like, I'm just sitting here trying to fuck, so like I'm just chill. But I'm also like, I get it because I'm that bitch. And you're like, oh shit, I just thought whatever, she was maybe some kind of hood rat or something. And then it's like, oh, she's an accomplished professional hoe.
I felt that too, of like guys that are anxious, more timid, and all of a sudden you start to kind of mute yourself a little, and not in negative ways.
I'll just be like, I'll start texting someone else, or now I'll just, once again, in terms of time, I'll just kind of look and be like, now at this point, it's like, if a man hasn't made a move within like an hour, he's lost his inner game. Like you watch a tennis match, he's not going to regain it. With this. And then, okay, just let him go. Like I'll be like, okay, cool. Well, there's nothing going to happen. So that's fine. Like, because also I'm not trying to get sued one day. So I'll be like, if you don't feel comfortable, that's cool.
Yeah.
But also go so I can at least jerk off or fuck somebody else. Like you're not gonna be I'm not gonna sit here and play your fucking therapist for hours and hours on end. I've tried and I'm like, oh, this is a waste of time. One time this guy, he had me up so late that I realized there was a guy that was only available. He was probably cheating on somebody. He was like, oh, I can only meet up with around like 5 something in the morning. So I realized, I was like, yo, it's 4:00. If I stay up and I text this other dude, then I like stayed awake talking, playing Uno while this other guy wasn't figuring shit out. And then I text the other dude and was up early enough to fuck him. It was actually really good. But then after we had sex, he told me, he was like, I'm a very weak person. I was like, what the fuck?
Oh, I hate that.
Why are you telling me that? Your clothes are on, you're leaving, going to work.
Yeah.
You just keep it in.
I hate that, or when someone's like, I'm still hurting. I'm like, oh, fuck off. I don't want to hear about this.
Lord.
Yeah, that's always too much. But I meant more, a lot of times it's like we tell women things that like kind of make them shrink themselves and be smaller and to be less intimidating and be like, and it's all this stuff in our head and it's like, actually this isn't on me. The fact that this dude is afraid, like I've hit the point, I just was like, okay, you're afraid of me? Good. Go away.
Yeah, no, like, because
I'm really not doing anything to make you afraid of me.
Exactly. What kind of a weak motherfucker? And then once again, it's just like, oh, I mean, how fun is the sex gonna be? Mm-hmm. So I'm very, very, very upfront. That's also one of the reasons why I like sending nudes, because it's like, oh, you see exactly the vibe. I mean, I have lots of different nudes. I have lots of different photos, different vibes. I got black and white era. There was the era where I added lighting. There's like a whole, it depends on what I want to communicate. But it's also so they know, like, this is a woman that you were you are talking to a woman who's very secure in herself and her body and her sexuality and her sensuality. And so like, you're not just going to come sling some regular fucking dick to me. You know, like, you know, this is like, this is who I am.
Yeah. Or I'm not going to be afraid to ask for what I want.
Oh yeah, no, it's I like clarity and transparency before.
Oh, absolutely.
Before hookup.
I know. I'm like, sadly, we do have to wrap up, but God, this has been so fun. Also, because I just haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
I'm right? like, I have been using this podcast lately. I'm like, who do I just want to hang out with for an hour?
Word.
Like, but it is, better.
No, it's true.
I know. Someone DM'd me today about being on the pod, and I kind of was like, we've never spoken.
Oh yeah. So then how are you?
It's such a weird. Like, I was like, I can't imagine talking to you about this
anything.
Stuff.
Yeah,
especially with no pitch. I'm like, what's your angle? It's like, I'm a man. Okay.
that's usually good enough. Like,
yeah. Literally.
Oh, come on over then.
Oh yeah, come over. Yeah, come on the pod. But where can everybody find you and listen to your stuff?
Oh yeah. Mainly Instagram.
Incomparable Miss C, right?
Yeah.
MSC. So Christiana Jackson, which spell it for the fans.
Christiana.
And I'll put the link to her Instagram in the comments. It's a fun follow. Follow.
Well,
and you're also a great comic.
Oh, well, thank you.
You were my first comedy friend.
I know, right? Yeah. I was also like, this has been 9 years in the making.
I know, forever. I know. It's so funny. When you said 41, I was like, damn. I was like, I remember being 22.
I know, right?
And you being like, don't worry, you're fucking young. And you were like, I'm 32, I guess? Yeah, because I'm 31 now and you're 41.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was one of those, I was like, we have a big age gap, but this is a great friendship. I was like, I'm for this.
Word. I think whenever people are like, you look young for your age, I'm like, I'm always around young people.
Well, they say keep young friends because your friends eventually start dying.
Oh shit! I didn't.
True.
I mean, in comedy, told me that. In comedy, like, that could happen at any age.
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
But like, think about it. Your grandmother. It's like, well, eventually there's an age they start losing their friends. It's like if you don't got one 10-year younger friend, hanging on, it keeps you young.
Keeps
you young. It's better than getting a dog. Just get some young friends. It's easier. But you guys can follow us at Shooters Gotta Shoot Pod. And I'm at Sparica with 2 A's. And we're on TikTok now as well. So follow TikTok. Oh. And stay tuned for a Patreon preview coming up next. So thank you guys for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Bye. So like I said, what I like about Dean is Dean's an honest man. He doesn't give me some bullshit, especially about dating and relationships. Even though it's like, maybe I would like to hear that someone is coming into my life very soon and whatnot. Like just... classic Dean, who just was like, yeah, don't see married or engaged, don't see living with anyone, he's like, I see little relationship confusion or by yourself. Basically, he was like, I'm getting a strong vibe that you've been single for a long time. And then also he said, there's also no motivation in dating right now. He's like, I feel like there's no motivation in love. You're kind of disappointed in it. It's not your primary focus. And I'm like, yep, nailing it, Dean. Fucking nailing it. If you want to hear the rest of this episode, join our Patreon, which is patreon.com/shootersgottashoot. For just $5 a month, you can get an extra episode a week of all the behind-the-scenes content, and we'll answer all your questions directly over there. You get the real juice, you get the real scoop, and you get a say in who we have on the show and what we talk about on the show. Patreon.com/shootersgottashoot.